Best Life of Well-Being is here to normalize death, grief, end of life, love legacy, and whole life conversations that transform the way we live in the world. Hi everyone, it's Donna Marie, and before we get this episode started, I want to share that Liz, Casey, nor I are medical professionals, mental health professionals, nor therapists. We are two women who have practiced self-care all of our lives by asking questions, being curious and paying attention to what we were learning, what we were practicing, our beliefs, and our thoughts. And again, questioning all of that. We paid attention to what we were learning from our outside world and what was going on in our inner world. And in many cases, in our inner world, we were functioning in fear. We didn't believe we were enough, that we had done enough. We lacked self-love. But one day love woke us up and we listened to the wake-up call and started unlearning and relearning. And today we want to share a bit about what we've learned regarding grief and essential oils on our self-care and well-being journey. Subscribe to our channel. Hit that notification bell so that you know when episodes are available. Like our content and comment. We want to hear from you. Liz, really appreciate you sharing time with me to talk about good grief and the use of pure essential oils and managing that. I will say I consider you my essential oils. I have more than one, but one of my essential oil guru. And the reason I will say you are one of my gurus is because the research you do is science-based and it's extremely comprehensive. You're not doing a Google search and saying, oh yeah, this source said it. No, you're researching it, you're reading case studies.
Yes.
You are using these oils yourself. And you're hearing testimony from people who are using the oils as well. And so again, you are one of my gurus. And so I just want people to know this isn't just an essential oils conversation with just anyone. You've been doing this for how many years?
Oh my gosh. So I've been using essential oils for 30 years. I didn't use the best essential oils until about 2016. And that's really when my essential oil journey deepened and it got much richer because I started using better oils. And we can talk about, those oils and what they are and why they're better and all of that if you want to.
And that brings me to essential oils. And so that is one tool, as you stated, that can be used in helping us to process our grief in a healthy way, but also to find meaning. So let's just talk about the benefits of essential oils in helping us to process our grief.
Oils are so amazing. When you're dealing with oils, you have to deal with the best oils on earth, the purest oils. You can't, unfortunately, go to Walmart and pull that bottle down off the shelf in most cases. You want to deal with the cleanest, the best, the highest vibration oils. And those are hands down, in my opinion, Young Living. Young Living owns the farms. They govern the seeds, the soil, they soil test. They do 21 tests on every oil for efficacy. They've got the standards in place that no other essential oil company has. They own the farms. So they govern the entire chain of custody on every oil every time. And that's important to me as a researcher and someone who loves to study and answer that cynicism that I have inside. It's important for me to know that what I'm putting in my body is clean.
Yes.
Right? It's pure. Because pure plant oils are the only oils that can actually help us, right? To use any other oil that's maybe been adulterated or has toxins in it, or things that aren't on the label, these are not helpful substances, right?
Right.
And we know the dangers of using all the, over-the-counter stuff and the pharmaceuticals. Those are not good for the body. They toxify. Essential oils detoxify. So one of the primary benefits of essential oils is they clean off our cell receptor sites. The molecules in essential oils are so tiny that just by smelling the oil from our hand through our nose, they pass the blood-brain barrier. That means the molecules are so small, they go directly into our master computer. They go straight into the limbic system. and they're in your limbic system, and they're in your bloodstream. They're in your limbic system within 20 seconds. They're in your bloodstream within 2 minutes, and they've touched every cell in your body within 20 minutes. So nothing is as fast as this. Nothing gets into your body faster than essential oils. And when you're talking about the actual cell receptors, every cell has little holes in them where they can receive information and let go of waste and so forth, right? So they've got these holes in them that are covered. And there is, if a molecule matches that cell, if that cell is, yes, in fact, I need this molecule, it will open that cell receptor, and that molecule will go inside of the cell, and it will do things to the DNA. With essential oils, the first function they have is they clean off those cell receptor sites. Those things get gunked up by petrochemicals from our breathing the air, eating the food we eat, cosmetics, and so forth. So they get gunked up. The phenylpropanoids in essential oils come along and they clean off those cell receptors. So they're draining those petrochemicals right off the edge of the cell. They clean that gunk off of there. It looks basically like Vaseline. If you look at it in a microscope, it's gummy, and you'd have to look at with an electron microscope, but you can see that process happening. The molecules of the oils come along and they're all scrub, scrub, scrub. They get those petrochemicals away. Those go into the bloodstream. Your body passes it through normal means. And so the oils, those molecules will get inside and they repair oxidative damage at the DNA level. And that is profound. There are molecules, there are actual constituents in the molecules of essential oils that do different things to our cells. And it's, so when you're talking about dealing with grief, you're talking about cleansing the body system. You're talking about ridding the body of toxins. You're talking about creating an environment that's oxygenated, that's able to pay attention to the task of coping with your emotions, right? You're cleaning the body, you're making the body vibrate faster, you're helping the body systems, and then the person can go, gosh, I feel like $1,000,000. I'm going to deal with some more grief today. I feel ready to deal with this problem I'm having with my partner or whatever. So if you clean the cell receptors, and then you're able to bring in these additional elements that are helping this cell function better. So when cells are clean, they can communicate more easily. They can rid themselves of toxins. They can pass messages back and forth. They're called ligands in the body. They can pass these messages. They can receive messages. They can receive nutrients. They can do things better. And the oils help create that environment. One of the most important things in many essential oils, they're not in all, but it's a molecule called a sesquiterpene. And sesquiterpenes are actually the part of the plant DNA that will actually drive oxygen into the tissues. It pulls oxygen with it. In the case of like bad cells, we know what kind of cells we're talking about. Yes. With bad cells, they are anaerobic, meaning they rely on a body that's not oxygenated. They rely on tissues that are so toxic and so overburdened that they can swoop in and take advantage, right? So the bad cells rely on an unoxygenated environment. If you're driving oxygen into the DNA of the cells and you're putting it in your tissues and in your cells, those bad cells cannot survive in an environment like that. So that's why these oils are so powerful. They're so incredibly effective for doing not only physical work, but emotional work. They help you feel better so that you can tackle, that deeper, more nuanced healing. Really.
Yeah. And so that includes inhaling. If I drop oil in my hand, rub it together, and I'm inhaling, that goes directly to my bloodstream. If I'm using it topically, if I have pain in my back, pain wherever, and I'm using it topically, as well as internally.
Yes.
I can tell you my digest works immediately. I love
it does.
digest.
I do too.
And that also includes diffusing.
Correct.
And so let's talk just quickly about diffusing. Like, when I first started using essential oils, I started at Walmart, then I went to Amazon, then I went to doTERRA, and then ended up gratefully ended up using being introduced rather to Young Living. And I'm so grateful, because you're right. These are the highest quality oils around. But diffusing, it took me a minute to understand diffusing. So when I first started, I just wanted the environment to smell good, and I didn't want to use candles because candles can be toxic, and
Right.
and I didn't want fire, and because it can be unsafe. But it took me a while to understand what happens in your environment when you're diffusing an oil. So can you share exactly what happens in that process?
Sure. Well, with diffusing, you're mixing essential oils with distilled water in, most cases. So you're using a diffuser to release particulates of that oil mixed with water into your environment. So those particulates, those tiny little floccules of oil, they're sprayed into the environment. And what they're doing is they are encountering dust, they're encountering dust mites, they're encountering toxins, they're encountering all of these things in our environment, and they are able to encapsulate and nullify those particulates. And really, the water is a conductor of that. It helps that those droplets capture. I think there's a study about Thieves essential oil blend, and I'm trying to remember the exact percentage. It's really high up there, maybe 98%, 99% of removes airborne bacteria from
Wow.
the air. So if you got a little sick kitty, or kiddo at home, and you want to kind of get get their environment cleaned up, run that diffuser. Not only are they going to be smelling those molecules into their body, conducted into their body by breathing those vapors, it's going to be killing airborne bacteria at the same time. So it's working externally and internally. Yeah, it's really
So,
powerful.
and then how then does that help us with grief? So we get how it helps our environment. We know it goes directly to our bloodstream. But if I'm grieving, how can I use essential oils to help me as a tool to help me?
Because the molecules in oils are so tiny, they go straight into our limbic system, and they encounter the olfactory bulb at the top of our sinuses. And there's a little patch of neuroepithelium. There are these little hairs that gather those molecules and conduct them into our limbic system. Part of our limbic system is the amygdala and the hippocampus. Both of those brain structures are vitally tied to our health and well-being and our awareness. They're tied to the reptilian part of our brain, so it's fight or flight. The amygdala has to decide, hey, is this smell pleasing to me? Is this a good thing for me? Right? The amygdala is what moves you away from a repugnant odor, or a person chasing you. It moves you away from danger. Your amygdala is tasked with having to make that split second, millisecond, less than a millisecond decision about your well-being, right? Well, the hippocampus is the part of our brain that is in large. It does a lot of things, but it's tied to our memories, right? So, for example, if you are moving throughout the world and you smell an aftershave that your dad used to wear, and you had a very good, positive, loving experience with that person, you're instantly transported back to that. Oh, that's my daddy, and oh, I miss him so much, or whatever, right? Whatever it is. So the hippocampus is involved in that process with essential oils because they go straight into those brain structures. They are helping you with those memories. They actually, and anytime something is pleasing and smells good, like some people just love the smell of cinnamon, and there's just something about it, right? That is homey. It makes them feel good. It puts them in a more receptive mood. They can receive information better. It's helping your brain structure. It's helping you function. It's cleaning off your cell receptors. It's doing all of those things. And so it's helping you get to a place. And this is happening physiologically. It isn't just anecdotal. This is actual, we've got a lot of science links to what these things are actually doing inside the body. To answer your question, how it helps is it's helping not only on a brain structure level, a physical level, but on an emotional level, because it's touching your hippocampus. And the hippocampus is tied to our memories and our sense of taste and our general well-being. And so those molecules are going in there and they're sedating part of our brains that need to be sedated, calming our nervous system, and they're activating other parts of our brain that might need a boost. And the molecules know what to do. It's so fascinating. Plants are absolute. I mean, I believe that we were put in a garden, right? So we were put in a garden. There is so much about the garden, right? The garden is everything, right?
Yeah.
So we were given these amazing plants, these amazing things that, and for thousands of years, plants were the medicine, right?
Yes.
Plants were medicine, not synthetic stuff that your body can't understand. It was plants.
Yes.
Right? So we're coming full circle back to plants.
And let's just talk about the vibrational frequency in some of the oils and what that really means.
So I teach a frequency and essential oils class, and I have occasionally, and I love this, I love when I have cynics in the class because they're like, come on. That's just a little too hippy dippy. We all gonna sing kumbaya. And I'm like, well, we might, because we might be feeling happy enough too, right? We just might break out into kumbaya. But I love when I have cynics in the class because they're like, frequency, come on. Everything in the known universe vibrates, right? It oscillates, right? And it can be measured. And we know that nothing is solid. This desk isn't solid. It's made up of atoms and molecules and, tiny, tiny structures of potential, right? So their electrical potential and everything is made up of this stuff. And so frequency is basically measured in hertz or megahertz because it's many thousands of hertz. And essential oils are no different. They are the highest vibration natural substances known to man. And they've measured, they've stuck, all of these things they've thrown studies at, and they're so the oils all vibrate. Well, it makes perfect sense because everything in the known universe does, right? Our bodies vibrate. The healthy human body vibrates at about 70 to 73 megahertz. And most of the oils in Young Living, I can't speak to other brands, but I can tell you because Young Living is the best, most of those vibrate above human healthy body. So many of them are above 90 megahertz and even higher. Some are in the Rose vibrates at 320 megahertz, and I think Idaho blue spruce and Northern Lights black spruce, those vibrate above 500.
Wow.
So they're really, really high vibrations. So it stands to reason that if you're cleaning off cell receptors and the molecules are so small that they can follow nerve paths and they can penetrate your skin and they can go through your limbic system by breathing them through the nose, and they are very speedy, those little molecules are zipping around, that they're able to come into the human body and they're able to affect change at the DNA level. It's proven. They don't just sit around idly, they do stuff, right? They go inside and they repair oxidative damage inside there. And while they're speeding around, they're causing an oxygenation of the tissues. So the entire body system is speeding up, and faster is better when it comes to body systems. In most cases, faster is better. Depends on if you're talking about brain structure. Sometimes fast isn't good. You might want to sedate, but the oils know how to do that, right? And there are different oils that use for different uses. But yes, that is absolutely, I love that question. And I love teaching this class because people are like, oh, you're such a hippie. And I'm like, I know that it seems like that, but wait till I bust out the science.
Yeah. So
yes.
Holding grief in our body, we've already talked about that. It can create mental, psychological, physical, chronic conditions to creep up. Right. And so it's really important to process our grief and to, you mentioned a grief protocol, ways to hold, honor, and release grief. And so let's maybe give some tips on how to use these essential oils in managing and releasing and honoring our grief.
I love that suggestion. The simplest, really, we need to give ourselves permission to just have our feelings. We are not given permission, right? And as adults, we're like, okay, give yourself permission to have all those ugly feelings. They're there anyway, right?
Yeah.
So, so just giving ourselves permission. Oh, and reminding yourself, okay, this is rage. Oh, okay, I've been disrespected. That's why I feel this rage. I just feel so full of rage right now. And really just, hey, you name your emotions to yourself. Well, this is grief. Oh, this is such deep sorrow. I feel so sad. 5 minutes. Give yourself 5 minutes. If you can do this for 5 minutes, you will be so much healthier. Like, you can't even believe how fast the body forgives.
Oh,
The
yeah.
body is like a Labrador dog. It will forgive you in a second if you just give it some time, give it some acknowledgement. Okay, belly, we're going to feel our grief right now. We're just going to sit and hold it. And it really is so simple. It seems too simple. And it, and again, I'm not a psychologist, but I can tell you I've done a lot of studies about this. I've read lots of books. And really, it's just permission to feel the way you feel, acknowledging your emotions, holding on to them. And I grab an oil and what I do before is I give myself permission. Okay, I'm giving myself permission to feel this rage, and I have to remind myself of what I'm feeling. Oh, this is rage. Oh, here it is. Here it is again. And I'll write in my journal for a few minutes, and I'll write any fool thing that comes in my head because I'm just trying to purge my body. I'm trying to get it out of my body, I want to acknowledge this. I want to steep in this. I give myself 15 minutes. That's it. And then I want to shift it, right?
Yes.
Because I want to feel better, right? And the faster and the more you do this, the faster you'll get at this. So I do those two things first, then I grab an oil. I don't want to use anything that's going to take me out of my experience of feeling that grief or that rage, right? Oils are great, but they're great as part of an entire process. The first couple steps in that process, got to acknowledge that, got to give myself permission. I got to feel, oh, I'm feeling so much rage. Oh boy, this is ripe. It is big. It is rich. I just want to, and then I grab an oil. And sometimes it'll be joy, the essential oil blend that's so amazing and so magical. Sometimes it's going to be vetiver. It's deep and smoky and dark and like, oh, I got to ground with this, right? Sometimes it's valor. I need courage to speak my truth because I've been disrespected, but I don't want to eat their face off. So I have to get my point across without getting nasty, So then I'll grab an oil, I'll rub that, I'll take a drop in my hands, I rub my hands together and I breathe the molecules through my nose. And I just sit with it and I feel those molecules going in through my limbic system. And I'm like, okay. And I am telling you what, the oils give you space. They automatically, because they're putting oxygen in there. So instead of being all angry and crunchy and my torso all contorted and everything squeezing in rage in my body, the oils go, oh, open up. It's okay. Breathe, breathe, open, 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 open. It's okay. It's okay. And I hold that feeling until it shifts. And I look at it and I'm like, and sometimes 15 minutes, it's like I'm still rageful. It doesn't happen very often now, but sometimes it's 20 minutes. But then I'm like, okay, girl, enough of this. You've sat here PO'd for 20 minutes. Let's shift this. Okay.
Yeah.
And that's the process. So I hold it and I look at it and then I'll journal about it. And then I try to find the place in childhood where I felt that before. And I use oils in that way, in that process of feeling my feelings, staying present. Don't pop out. Don't go turn on the television. Don't go on Instagram. Give yourself, 5 to 15 minutes. And you will start getting so good at this. If you just do this for a solid month, you will start missing it when you don't.
Yeah.
You'll feel wildly out of control and you'll be like, oh no, I haven't been doing my process, right? I need to get back on the wagon and start doing it again,
Yeah, and it definitely is a practice. And so I would even suggest starting with 1 minute, because
Mhm.
sometimes our brain, our mind is everywhere. And
Yep.
even sitting for 1 minute can be difficult for us. So set a timer, start for 1 minute. If you have children, if you have a busy home, if you have an unhealthy marriage or relationship or whatever it is, find yourself some time outside of
Yep.
that environment. 1 minute, set a timer. You don't have to diffuse. You can be
Yep.
outside and use your oils. You can inhale them. You can rub them on your body topically. I
Yep.
use my oils even as a fragrance. And so when I am walking, I am inhaling my own fragrance. But again, that 1 minute, and then create the practice and work your way up from 1 minute. And so
Yep.
what I heard you say is, first, give yourself permission, and then use your language. And if you need help with finding the language to identify what you're feeling, or what your emotions are, there are emotion wheels and feeling charts and all of that online.
Yep.
And it's so important. It might sound elementary, but we really don't, we can go a long time with saying positive feelings. Oh, love, like, pretty,
Right.
whatever. But we really have a very limited vocabulary when it comes to identifying those feelings that we
Yep.
don't want to deal with. And so give yourself permission, develop your language.
Right.
And then find that quiet time, do some journaling, ask yourself some questions. Grief is here to teach us something. Grief
Yes.
is here to raise us up. It isn't here to destroy us. And if our focus remains on what doesn't feel good, it could certainly take us out. Again, if we ignore it, we don't deal with it, it
Right.
creates problems in our body, problems with our mind. And so, yes, create that language. Give yourself permission. Like, that's so important. I don't want to miss that step. Find yourself the right language. You might think you're using a word. You might be using the word angry, and you're not really angry. You're anxious. You
Right.
know? And
Exactly.
yeah, so find the right word to describe for yourself
Right.
you're feeling, get to the root cause of that. And as you stated, also go back in your childhood if necessary, and go back to the place where you felt a certain way, or where you think this may have started. And in some cases, we don't know the answer to that question.
Right.
That's okay. But do what you need to do. Journaling is so important. It really is
Yes.
so important.
Absolutely. I love to journal as part of that process because really grief in and of itself isn't what causes disease. That having those negative emotions, that's not what hurts us. It's suppressing them. It's
Yes.
when we suppress it or delay it or circumvent it or go distract it, right?
Yes. Yes.
That's what causes a lowering of our vibration. We're holding on to tension and things that need to be cleared. It asks to be cleared. Our emotions are our guidance system. It's that those are so important, and they're such a blessing to all of us because without them we couldn't survive, or we
Right.
couldn't be here. We
Right.
couldn't protect ourselves when necessary. So again, the not expressing the grief, that's when it becomes a problem. That's when it becomes, hey, it's going to get stuck in your body. It gets stuck in your body systems, your organs. It gets stuck in your hips, wherever it
Right.
can find.
Create pain.
And it creates pain. That's correct. It creates, it throws off your pH. So it can create inflammation. So you start getting all this, your triglycerides and all this other stuff. It all
Yeah.
starts affecting your physiology. And that's what, grief will never harm you unless you suppress it,
Yes.
right?
Yes.
And we feel it anyway, and it's never going away. I love that book. We talked about it last time, Feelings Buried Alive Never Die.
Mm-hmm.
Such a great book because she teaches us just because we stop thinking about it doesn't mean it went away,
Right.
right?
Right.
And on the heels of that, the emotion code talks about where that stuff gets stuck in the body temple and how to clear it. And I love the point that you made. if you're capable of going back and saying, hey, where in childhood did I feel this? It's not necessary to do that. You can clear your emotions without pinpointing the exact moment that you were damaged by a parent or a sibling or whomever, right? You don't have to go and unearth. It's really easy. Just acknowledge, give yourself permission, acknowledge, hold that pain, think about it, say, okay, here I am, I'm in pain, and I'm feeling so sad and vulnerable and alone, and acknowledging that to yourself, that's enough. And if you're right, if you can do it for a minute, go do it. Go sit in the car, grab your oils, sit there, do the process. Even if all you have is a minute or two, if you have to go into the bathroom and cry for 30 seconds, grab your oils, take those in there with you, lock that door, be alone for a minute, and do and take care of it, because it's not going to go away, right? It's going to be there, and it's our job to clear it.
Yeah. And I will also say, the reason I say a minute is because when I started meditating, I would set my timer for 5 minutes. And then when the alarm went off, I'm doing something else because I forgot I was meditating. Right? And
Yes.
so 5 minutes was too much time.
Too long.
Yes. And so I had to start with a minute and then force myself for a minute. Like, do not move. And doesn't matter where your mind is going.
Right.
To start that practice, just be still. And then as you practice, then your mind will get quiet.
Yes.
And then you'll be able to focus on whatever it is you're focusing on. And then you'll be able to increase that time to 1 minute and 30 seconds, then 2 minutes, then 5 minutes, 30 minutes, or whatever it is. But less is more.
Yeah.
At first.
Yes. Yeah. And again, the body will forgive you immediately, right?
Oh, yeah.
The body just wants to be clear.
Yeah.
We want homeostasis. Everything in our body wants balance, right? Our spines want balance, our organs want balance, everything wants to be balanced, right? Yes. So our whole entire function, the body, is to be in balance, right? Yes. And it shows us when we're not, right? And emotions are a part of that, right? So when we suppress them and create imbalances in our blood sugar and and in our triglycerides and all of that stuff, when we create this acidic environment and expect ourselves to do well, right? They can't, because the body can't clear itself. The consciousness needs to clear the body, right? The body does clear itself, obviously. There are lots of systems in place for that, maintenance and for that. But really, when it comes to emotions, we have to be the bigger person. We have to clear it for the body, right?
Can't think of her name. Eat, Pray, Love. What's her name?
Oh,
Elizabeth Gilbert.
Elizabeth Gilbert, yes. Right. Took two of us. Took 2 of us to get the name.
And so one quote I learned from her is that we have to be relentless with our self-care. We cannot take anything for granted when it comes to our self-care. So again, even if it's 1 minute.
Yes.
If that's the only time we can dedicate to ourselves, start there. And then focus on caring for yourself, and then watch as time opens and you begin to manage your time differently and better. Yes. And opportunities will present. But we have to be relentless, and essential oils, an easy addition to help in that process of being relentless with our self-care. Everyone we are responsible for influencing positively or taking care of needs us to take care of ourselves first.
That's right. That's correct. Absolutely. It will take you 20 seconds to do that little self-care ritual, and then your life will begin to change.
Yes.
In so many ways. You start having these things that you would call miracles, right? Miracles every day. You start getting these miracles show up every day, and the universe says, yeah, girl, you're doing good. You started paying attention, and here's another blessing. And here's another blessing. And I love how that happens. And I love seeing that for people. My deepest joy in life is to be an educator and a researcher, and to help people connect the dots, and to know that they have alternatives when it comes to their wellness. You don't have to just take somebody's word for it. Yeah. You don't have to take my word for it or Donna's. Go find out, right? Do the research. Crack a book, take a couple minutes and look into this, because this is powerful, powerful, powerful self-care rituals that we're advocating, and it's easy to do. Yeah.
I would just add this, that as far as miracles, sometimes you'll be surrounded by chaos and literally sitting in shit, like what I'm going through right now.
Yes.
And the miracle is that it isn't disturbing my internal peace. The miracle is, though I'm in a place that is crazy, and through the miracle of it is that I'm able to get through it without the chaos being the focus.
Right.
The outcome, the solution, the growth, the releasing of ego, it's coming. That is the miracle.
I love that whole idea of the chaos around you and the maelstrom of flying, insults, blah, 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 family events, whatever, right? Like, and you're in the center of it, the guru, right? Covered in your oils, and you are not triggered. That is the best feeling in the world. Yes. When you've got those people in your lives, you've got those people in your life who just come up and they know where to poke, right? And then you're not triggered. You don't respond. And that is the best feeling in the world. And especially when they come up and they're like, wow, you smell really good. What are you wearing?
Yes.
Peace and calming. Peace and calming, as a matter of fact. Stress away, as a matter of fact, right? It's a beautiful thing. And I love how oils, help us clear stuck emotions. They help us clear tough emotions. They help us stay present. And they clean our cell receptors, and they do so many things for our emotional selves and our physical selves. And I absolutely love, as you can tell, I absolutely love talking about it. So anytime you want to have me back, I'm ready. I'm ready.
One last thing I want to say before we close, and you and I talked about this earlier, the importance of also surrounding yourself with people who will uplift and encourage you, and people who speak your language. Finding your tribe is a phrase, it's a buzz phrase, right? Finding your tribe. But honestly, it is so, as a part of a self-care practice, it's really so important. You don't have to have a ton of people. It could be one person. It could be a podcast, whatever it is, to start off with. Get those positive messages that will reinforce for you the change you're trying to make, the belief you're trying to incorporate. That is really, we started off talking about mindset, and so again, that is also a practice, especially if 96 or more % of us have grown up in traumatized or toxic environments. It's really important for us to determine how we want to live, and then surround ourselves with people who support that.
Absolutely. And if you don't have someone like that, then I'll be part of your tribe. Like, you call me.
And so then that's how I want to end this. Let's tell people where they can find you and the services that you offer, Liz.
Well, thank you so much for that. I run an essential oil business with my twin sister, Kristen, and we kind of cheekily named ourselves Twinssential Oils Group. And our website is twin, so it's the word twin and then Sential, SSENTIAL, Twinssentialoils.com. And all my contact info is up there. I'm also on YouTube. I'm all over the place. We have a Instagram and Facebook page, and it's just, we're everywhere. So yeah.
All right, I love that. And so so you got your tribe.
Yep.
You've given yourself permission, you got your language, so now you need your 1 minute, at minimum 1 minute, and connect to your tribe, Twinssential Oils Group or twinssentialoils.com. And as always, we are here at bestlifeofwellbeing.com. And thank you, Liz. I really appreciate your time. We prayed before this recording started, and we just continue in prayer that this helps to touch and heal and change lives.